Om 10 år så är det förbjudet att sälja förbränningsmotorbilar i Europa. Alltså 2035 är det så. Men många jobbar och lobbar för att riva upp det här beslutet. Och en av dem är Thomas Schäfer, Volkswagens chef, som jag träffade på en så kallad rundabord-intervju. Där man är ett stort gäng journalister i samma rum, ställer varsin fråga i god tur. Sådär. Så att, jag ställde just den frågan hur jag ser på den saken. Här kommer alltså en spännande intervju om du är intresserad av Europas kamp om versus Kina, Volkswagen och hela det här politiska spelet och utmaningarna som bilindustrin står inför. Men först så lyssnar vi lite gärna på vad Thomas Schäfer sa när han skulle presentera företagets framtid och lite nya bilar och sådär. Så att det här är ett riktigt högriskspel som man måste gå in med full fart för att ha en chans att överleva. Kommer Volkswagen att klara av att överleva i Kina på den nivån som man fortfarande är? Det är den stora frågan. Och vad kommer hända med kinesiska invasionen i Europa? Teknikutvecklingen, allianserna mellan europeiska och kinesiska företag. Allt det här. Väldigt spännande. Nu kör vi!
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Thomas Schäfer, CEO of the Volkswagen brand.
When I joined Volkswagen 2.5 years ago, there was a lot of work to do. You could say the Volkswagen feeling had faded a little. And the question was, why? If you want to build a car for everyone, you have to listen to everyone. And that's exactly what we did. And then we took action. We have a clear goal. By 2030, we will be the technological leader among volume manufacturers. We will advance, we will attack, and we will achieve. Today, a car is only as good as its operating system. After what you might call a steep learning curve, we don't just deliver reliable software, we are now setting new benchmarks for functionality and for performance.
Jag är väldigt glad att Facebook stödjer min kanal eftersom det är en helt svensk laddbox med all modern teknik som man kan behöva. Så läs mer på facebook.se.
For us, very clear that the future is electric. There's no question about it. There's no alternative in the volume segments that can actually make up decarbonization as it's needed by the regulation that we have. The slowdown that we see at the moment, ramping up to there, might require a review of the date of whether 2035 is the right date or maybe a little later, because, the trajectory that we all assumed is going to happen by us, bringing the cars, governments and infrastructures being created, subsidies. There's some slowdown here and there that didn't lead to the right trajectory. But again, end result is clear. I personally think that it doesn't matter now what's the end point. The key point is now bring in affordable electric mobility that appeals to the masses, get more people into it. If it's not an exclusive thing, it's got to be more a broader audience that gets into there. Will it then lead to a zero in that, or is there a need for hybridization or range extenders? Let's see.
But do you think do you like if they continue to have this sharp stop?
I think I personally think, again, with that trajectory that we see now, we probably have to review the date.
Okay.
And that I hear that the European Union is going to relook at it probably in 2026, 27 to review the case. At the moment, we're very happy with that 3-year banking and borrowing that I don't know, speculation depends on. It depends on where in Europe the speed comes from. At the moment, we see obviously the Nordic countries speeding up. We see the Southern European countries slowing down, and everything in between. So could be a couple of years after that. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. It could go very fast if the adoption rate is finally there, and you have more offer in the lower price segments. We'll see. I'm very hopeful that the 4 cars that we bring in the brand group core now, plus that we'll bring another 7 cars in the next. Until 27 into the market, full electric vehicles. And good thing is we have a portfolio now that is completely refreshed. No Tiguan, new Tayron, the new T-Roc last week. They're all hybridized. These cars, no matter what happens now in the next couple of years, whether there's a review or not, we're prepared for this. So we've got everything that the customers will ask for.
Den här videon presenteras av Karla, där du kan köpa och sälja elbilar och laddhybrider online. Så gå in på Karla för gratis värdering och hitta din nästa bil.
Do you think it will be more common to have a car for each, for Europe, for China, for US? So, or do you plan?
Yeah, but we are we're a global brand, so we always operate and manufacture where we sell. So in Europe, in China, in the US, and we always have adopted the vehicles to the liking of China, Europe, and US, and make the cars specifically because you have to anyway localize the parts. You have to buy tools for the body and for the parts. So for us, it's our big advantage as a volume player that we can localize. Obviously, this geo split that we see at the moment doesn't help because auto industry is a global industry. But for us, it's easier to do than for other players because we have the volume in China, we have the volume in Europe, we have the volume in Americas. So it's okay. I hope that this will swing back eventually to a global operation. Look, at the moment, we are by far the EV leader in Europe, in Germany and in Europe. So that's all great. Within the top 5 sold electric cars in Europe, 3 are Volkswagens, 1 is Skoda. So obviously, people like the cars, but the uptake and the way governments are focusing on it. You have subsidies or not. There's some countries changed subsidies from one day to another. Germany, for example, it completely creates confusion with the consumer. It would have been easier to have probably a flatter trajectory and ramp it up. But for now, I think our progress is good, and you got to play in the top league if you want to stay in the top league. We want to stay. Obviously, the number 1 also in the electric age, so you have to stay on the dance floor, and that's what we're doing. We have 3 factories that are ramping up. One is Salzgitter in Germany, Sagunto in Spain, and St. Thomas in Canada. The first one operational will be Salzgitter. They'll start at the end of the year. So there'll be the cells that also go into the electric urban car family vehicles. Will be the unified cell in LFP and NMC. So that'll start Salzgitter, then Sagunto the following year, and then St. Thomas. So that's the rollout. Yeah, we were never involved with Nothvolt as VW brand, so we were not in any contractual obligation. That's different brands, not Volkswagen. So not with us. We only our either is PowerCo or Goshen that we deal with. Yeah, but for us, we have, as I said, we've got the 3 major factories that supply us, 2 for Europe and 1 for North America. That's a very good setup for us. Will there be more needed in future? Depends on the ramp up. And we will not follow 100% make strategies. It will be buy and make, a mixed strategy so they can keep it competitive, but also in-house competitive. Well, what does it matter? Yeah, if it's competitive, you need to then obviously work with competitive suppliers. There's nothing wrong with it. We have plenty of suppliers from China that we work with. So what's different on battery? But you have to stay in the technology, from my point of view. You cannot let go of battery, the electric drive, and the thermal unit of the vehicle. That is the heart of electric vehicle, and you optimize that. And that is the key of the future, the engine of the future, really, that you need to be able to handle. So you cannot step out and say, buy this component somewhere else, 100%. It's not going to happen. Yeah, I personally think it's the most exciting time to be in the auto industry. And I really mean it because so much is changing so quickly and compared to last decades, really. The progress we make in AI, for example, in terms of optimizing processes in production, in administration, is gigantic. Whatever you touch, you have all of a sudden 20-30% efficiencies that you can bring into the progress, which is really good. Autonomous driving, another example. The progress with the new computing chips is with AI in the stack. We've got the collaboration between Bosch, Carriot, and us, which is really progressing well. Level 2 to level 4 automated driving. So it's really nice to see that progress, and with that comes enormous potential going forward. Yesterday, if you were present, The estimated market of autonomous taxis and drives and whatever is about $300 to $400 billion per year. To play in that game in future is worthwhile. So there's upside potential too, but you got to get your basics right and make sure you're in the game. That's what we are doing right now. I mean, we've been in China for 40 years. We sort of mobilized China as Volkswagen. Now, Dazhong is a household name in China. And we've got 16 factories there, 100,000 employees, make 2 million cars. So for us, it's home. And there's two aspects, like I said, there's the Chinese market in China, very competitive. You can see price wars. It's a tough market, but we have prepared for this now. We've got 3 major joint ventures there, great partners. We also lined up partnerships with Horizon Robotics, for example, for autonomous driving top end. We have a partnership with Xiaopeng on the software side. So things are set up properly, and we will see this coming through in the next, I would say, year or so, that we can roll out the new models. They are super competitive against any of the Chinese competitors. On the same side, there's plenty of ICE market in China, and we are by far number one in the ICE market, even gaining market share flat out month on month. So it's doing well. At the same time, prepare for the future. So China, competitive, but a good plan. The in China for China, plan that we put out there is working. And then in Europe, for Europe, we have to obviously defend our position. We're by far number one in Europe and also in Germany anyway. Strong products that were made and are actually made for Europe, from the Autobahn to the parking facility. They fit in there. They're tailor-made for European consumers with everything they do. And, with that, we have a great lineup. It's competition. Let everybody come. We have a dealer network that is outstanding in Europe that will help us in service and in customer service all the way through. And we didn't cry when the Japanese arrived in the 60s. You won't hear us crying now.
But for Europe, the advanced attack achieved. Mm-hmm. Where are we now?
Attack.
Advancing attack. Okay,
attack. Yeah, the advanced phase was really, getting our house in order. Like last year, at the end of last year, we negotiated the plan with the unions, and then we're busy executing that. We also already reduced the factory cost by 20% in Germany, which is amazing. That's never happened before. There's huge steps like that. We are reducing headcount, especially in the administrative functions, quicker than we planned. Voluntary retirement and separations. So that's all happening. So this is all happening, capacity reduction and so on, which is necessary to utilize our network better. Now we have many factories in Spain, Portugal, Czech Republic, Slovakia, and so on, that we need to utilize better and reduce Germany a little bit, where it's traditionally high labor cost. And this is now being balanced, so very good progress will help us with our cost base. And on the product side, we agreed to launch new products. We've seen some of them here that we bring into the mix, get proper Volkswagens again, and very happy with that. So still a lot of work to be done, but if I can judge by the first 7-8 months of the year after the agreement, it's impressive. If we have a joint vision, we always said we want to prove that you can actually carry on building cars and develop cars in Germany. Because everybody's saying, it's not possible, you have to do so. It is possible, and we will prove that it's possible. That's the drive. So together with our unions, we are focusing on that.
Okay, I have to keep asking about China. And, if you look at the Chinese EV business, 90% is Chinese. They dominate the sales.
In China.
In China.
Yeah, sure.
In China. And do you see that you can make a dent in that you can come back and have like a market space that you used to have in China? As you said, you've been there for a long time, but the new market, the Europeans are viewed as old and not Chinese, and therefore not as valued.
Yeah, you're somewhat right in this. I agree. We had this phase, and that's why we took action about 3 years ago. Ralph and his team in China, they were working right through this and say, how what's the future of Volkswagen in China? And it was necessary to get into corporations, partnerships with tech companies to really speed this up. I can assure you our joint ventures, FAW, VW, and SVW in the south, they are top-notch and really strong companies in China. So the outlook on VW is absolutely not boring old. What we saw in Shanghai, the 3 show cars that we showed there was such a phenomenal response from the public. That was the big theme. VW is back. We are still the household name in China, and by far not somebody who was once doing well. Not at all.
Okay, but still, do you see that you can have a double-digit market presence there, or is it, you will still be a single-digit?
No, of course you have to. No, I mean, in this transition, China is not going 100% electric in the short run. Even the Chinese government was speaking about phasing it out. There will be a significant amount of ICE cars, hybrid cars, and also BEV vehicles. So in that game, we have plenty to play in. On the ICE side, there's so much demand in the rural areas. So there's plenty of places where you can still grow in the ICE and keep it. And at the same time, now ramp up our new models that we've showed in Shanghai and get competitive cars in the market that have top tech, ADAS, everything that is definitely superior to whatever is in the market at the moment in that game. And the price point, that's obviously necessary.
Yeah, and can you keep competitive prices and still a profit in China?
No, absolutely. We've always been profitable in China, and China's been a backbone of our operation, and in future it has to be the same. When you look at there's no reason why we cannot be doing well in China. We are totally localized. We have the same labor cost. We have the same material cost that the others have, so we can compete, and we have the global scale that we can use. Maybe not in each tech element. Obviously tech is not flowing freely between East and West. But in many other aspects, you can develop once and then use the R&D also in Europe and use it even in the US. There's no problem. Like the metal and whatever stuff that is not relevant for the restrictions that you have now. I'm very confident that the plan we made for China is a very good plan that will bring us back on track.
So, China market again, you are competing against state-owned companies who can take losses, I guess, easier than you can, because you must make profits. So it's a sort of an unfair competition, isn't it?
Well, both FAW, VW, and SAIC are also state-owned companies.
Yes.
So our joint venture partners, if you take it that way, you're probably on equal footing. For us, the other companies that you mentioned, they need to grow and they need to move outside China because their exposure is China only, and the market it's a tough market. So obviously they want to grow elsewhere. Europe is always a first choice because it's profitable market. It's there's growth to be had, but they also move to other markets. But that's natural. We have Europe. We're defending Europe. We are super strong in South America. We still have some growth to do in North America. That's fair enough, but the Chinese are not happening there. And then in China, we're still by far the biggest international manufacturer, and that'll remain like that. We had to make this plan on the electric side now to really get competitive back into the game on the right space. That we didn't have, but we have that now, and it's coming into execution as from the end of this year going forward.
And all these Chinese brands are coming here now, like 10 of them, and they cannot compete on anything else than, I say, price. And no one wants to buy a Chang'an. Yes, I need a Chang'an, so they will undercut you in pricing. It's going to be really hard.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, it's about residual values. It's about resale values. It's about service. We have a super strong service network all over Europe, long-standing partners in all the European countries they're very focused on the brand. And look, it's competition. They will find out that it's not an easy walk in the park, and we definitely are not going to make them walk in the park.
Great.
Yeah, our customers. Know what a Polo is, what a Golf is. They know what a R or GTI is. We taught them for decades, and we spent tons on advertising for it. So to call it anything else is just not right. You know what I mean? So the opportunity in clarity in your portfolio, that people know what kind of size you're talking about, was necessary. And you know, from the feedback we got from media, from customers, they love it.
So 3, 4, 5, was that a mistake?
At the time, everything looked like it was a good idea. Yeah? But, you know, I personally think we should have kept with the names. And that's why we made this decision now. We're going back to names, and we're going to roll this out whenever a new model comes in. Then we rename the car into something that it is. So we're not going to say tomorrow all the numbers are gone and we give it some name. It's not going to happen. But when a new ID4 comes in, it will get a name. Whatever the name will be.
Final question, please.
Yeah.
Are you looking into increasing your collaborations with Chinese brands? How do you see that developing for the next years?
Look, we have great collaboration with Xiaopeng on the software side. That is working out very well. We have teams who work together on the operating system for China only. We have the collaboration with Horizon Robotics, top-end ADAS technology, far superior to anything in the market. So that's proving well. But, you know, for the rest, we don't need to work with any of the other manufacturers, because we have major operations in China with the 3 joint ventures that we have, North, South, and Anhui. So no need for further collaborations. If then on certain tech elements where we believe that there's a benefit for us if we collaborate, but at the moment that's not. Okay.
Thank you
Hope
so
that was
much.
helpful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay. Big pleasure.